Salman lived in a boring town. Nothing exciting ever happened. One day, everything changed. A talking Poo appeared in his toilet. "Hello," said the Poo, "I'm from the Skibidi toilet dimension." Salman couldn't believe his eyes. He rubbed them and looked again. The Poo was still there. Suddenly, the toilet started to shake. It spun faster and faster. Salman felt himself being pulled in. Salman closed his eyes. He held his breath. This was the craziest thing that had ever happened to him. When Salman opened his eyes, he was in a strange new world. Everything was made of toilets. "Welcome to the land of Oilets," said the Poo. "I'm Plop, your guide." Salman looked around. There were big toilets and small toilets. There were toilets made of gold and toilets made of chocolate. "What are Oilets?" asked Salman. "Oilets are special toilets," explained Plop. "They run on oil instead of water." Salman couldn't believe it. This place was even weirder than he imagined. Plop took Salman to meet the other residents of the land of Oilets. This land was unlike anything Salman had ever seen before. It was a whimsical place filled with vibrant colors and quirky characters, each with their own unique personality and charm. There was Steve the Stinky, a grumpy pile of poo. Steve had a perpetual frown on his face and a cloud of stink that followed him everywhere. Despite his grumpiness, he was an important part of the community. There was Priscilla the Plunger, a glamorous plunger with a feather boa. Priscilla was always dressed to impress with her sparkling decorations and confident demeanor. She was the go-to problem solver in the land of Oilets. "We have a problem," said Priscilla. "Our Oilets are clogged." "Clogged?" asked Salman, his eyes widening in surprise. "Yes," cried Steve, his frown deepening. "The situation was dire and the residents were clearly distressed, and it's making the whole place smell like rotten eggs." The stench was unbearable, and it was affecting everyone's mood. The once cheerful land of Oilets was now filled with grumpy and unhappy residents. Plop explained that the Oilets were designed to flush away bad vibes. They were a crucial part of maintaining the positive energy in the land. But lately there had been so much negativity in the world that the Oilets were struggling to keep up. The Oilets were overflowing. The negativity was too much for the Oilets to handle, and it was causing chaos in the land of Oilets. Salman knew he had to help. He couldn't stand by and watch the residents suffer. He rolled up his sleeves and got ready to tackle the problem head-on. With determination in his eyes, Salman set out to find a solution to the Poo Predicament. Salman brainstormed ideas, thinking of ways to unclog the Oilets and restore the positive energy. He considered using various tools and gadgets, each more surreal than the last. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to succeed. With the help of the residents, Salman began working on the Oilets. It was a team effort with everyone pitching in to help. Priscilla used her plunger skills while Steve provided moral support, despite his grumpy demeanor. After much hard work and collaboration, they finally managed to unclog the Oilets. The bad vibes were flushed away, and the land of Oilets was filled with positive energy once again. The residents cheered and celebrated their success. Salman and Plop smiled as they looked around at the happy residents. The land of Oilets was back to its cheerful self, and the stench of rotten eggs was gone. Salman felt a sense of accomplishment and knew he had made a difference. As the sun set over the whimsical landscape, Salman knew that he had found a new home in the land of Oilets. It was a place where he could make a positive impact and help others. And with that, the Poo Predicament was finally resolved. "I know just the person who can help," exclaimed Plop with a glint of hope in his eyes. He had heard tales of a mysterious figure who could control the cold, a legend in the icy realms, said Plop. He took Salman to a giant ice castle, its towering spires glistening under the pale winter sun. The castle looked like it was carved out of a single massive glacier, with intricate designs etched into its icy walls. Inside, they found a man made entirely of ice. "This is Jacob Frost," Plop announced with a sense of reverence. Jacob stood tall, his body shimmering like a diamond under the castle's chandelier. Said Plop, "He can freeze anything. His powers are legendary, and many have sought his help in times of need." "Can you freeze the Poo?" asked Salman, his voice tinged with desperation. He had never seen anything like Jacob Frost before and hoped this icy figure could solve their peculiar problem. Jacob Frost shook his head slowly, his icy features reflecting the light in a mesmerizing way. "I can't freeze the Poo," he said, his voice echoing like the wind through a frozen canyon. His eyes, though made of ice, seemed to convey a deep understanding of their plight. "But I can freeze the toilets," he declared, his voice gaining strength. He raised his crystalline hands, ready to unleash his frosty powers. Jacob Frost raised his hands, the air around him growing colder by the second. A blast of icy air shot out, swirling around the room like a mini blizzard. The temperature dropped rapidly, and frost began to form on every surface, freezing all the toilets solid. They stood there, now glistening ice sculptures, completely immovable. "Now what?" asked Salman, his breath visible in the frigid air. The toilets were frozen, but the problem wasn't solved. The poo remained, now encased in ice. But the problem wasn't solved. The frozen toilets were now a bigger issue, as they couldn't be used at all. Salman and Plop exchanged worried glances, realizing they needed a new plan. The icy solution had only made things more complicated. They had to think fast before the situation got even worse. Section 5, Skibidi Bop to the rescue. Suddenly the ground began to shake. A giant toilet bowl emerged from the ground. Out popped a group of dancing plungers. "It's the Skibidi Bop Squad," cried Plop. The Skibidi Bop Squad was a group of plungers who used their dancing skills to unclog toilets. They danced and twirled, their handles bobbing up and down. "Skibidi Bop, Skibidi Bop," they chanted. The vibrations from their dance moves shook the frozen toilets loose. The poo started to drain away. Salman had never seen anything like it. Section 6, Oilet Overload. The Skibidi Bop Squad danced and danced, but there was too much poo. The toilets were starting to overflow again. "We need more power," shouted the leader of the Skibidi Bop Squad. Salman knew he had to do something. He closed his eyes and thought about all the good things in the world, puppies, rainbows, and his mom's delicious cookies. Suddenly, a warm feeling spread through him. He felt a surge of energy. Could this be the key to saving the land of toilets? Section 7, the Great Poo Escape. Salman's positive energy flowed out of him and into the toilets. The toilets started to glow with a warm golden light. The poo inside the toilets began to transform. It turned into colorful butterflies and fluffy bunnies. The butterflies and bunnies fluttered and hopped out of the toilets. They filled the air with joy and laughter. The land of toilets had never looked so beautiful. Section 8, the Legend of the Golden Plunger. The Skibidi Bop Squad gathered around Salman. They were amazed by his power. "You are the chosen one," said the leader of the Skibidi Bop Squad. "The prophecy has come true." He presented Salman with a golden plunger. "This is the golden plunger," he said. "It is said to have the power to control the balance of good and bad vibes." Salman took the golden plunger. He felt a sense of responsibility wash over him. He knew he would use it wisely. Section 9, a Skibidi Celebration. With the Oilets unclogged and the land of Oilets safe, it was time to celebrate. The Skibidi Bop Squad threw a huge party in Salman's honor. There was Skibidi Bop music, poo-shaped snacks, and even a toilet paper piñata. Salman danced with Plop, Priscilla, and even Steve the Stinky. He had never had so much fun in his life. He had never felt so accepted for who he was, even if he was a little bit poo-obsessed now. Section 10, back to reality, or is it? The party went on all night. As the sun began to rise, Salman knew it was time to go home. He hugged Plop goodbye and stepped back into the giant toilet bowl. He felt a familiar spinning sensation. When he opened his eyes, he was back in his own bathroom. The only evidence of his adventure was a small golden plunger sitting on the edge of the tub. Was it all just a dream? Section 11, the end? Probably not. Salman looked in the mirror, his eyes tracing the contours of his face, searching for any sign that the extraordinary events he had experienced were real. He still couldn't believe what had happened. The memories of his journey were vivid, yet they felt like a dream. He had traveled to a land made of toilets, met talking poo, and encountered creatures that defied logic and reason. And yet, against all odds, he had saved the day with the power of positivity. He smiled, a sense of accomplishment washing over him. He knew that no one would ever believe his story. It was too fantastical, too outlandish. But that didn't matter to Salman. He had the golden plunger as a reminder of his adventure. It was a symbol of his courage and the friends he had made along the way. And besides, he had a feeling that this wasn't the last he'd seen of the Skibidi toilet dimension. The portal had closed, but he sensed it could reopen at any moment. After all, there were still plenty of toilets out there that needed unclogging. Each one a potential gateway to another adventure, another world waiting to be discovered. The end? Probably not. As he walked away from the mirror, the golden plunger in hand, Salman felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready for whatever came next. Time seemed to bend and twist around him, the boundaries between reality and fantasy blurring. He knew that his journey was far from over. With each step, he felt more confident, more prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. The world was full of mysteries, and he was determined to uncover them all. The golden plunger glowed brightly, a beacon of hope and a reminder of the power of positivity. It was a tool, a weapon, and a symbol of his journey. He looked back at the mirror one last time, a smile on his face. He knew that no matter what happened, he was ready. The end? Probably not. And so, with a heart full of hope and a mind ready for adventure, Salman stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever came his way. The end? Probably not. Scene 12, the Cosmic Poo-saver. The moon was on a collision course with Earth, causing widespread panic. Scientists scrambled for a solution, but time was running out. Just when all hope seemed lost, a familiar portal shimmered into existence in Salman's room. Out stepped the Skibidi crew, looking more determined than ever. The leader, Skibidi Bop, gestured towards the golden plunger, and Salman knew what he had to do. Together, they journeyed back to the mysterious land of Oilets, where they found the poo in the bleeding tummy hole. This time, the poo had a new look of determination. It had evolved, gaining cosmic powers from the land of Oilets. With the golden plunger in hand, Salman and the Skibidi crew prepared for the ultimate challenge. As they approached the moon, the cosmic poo used its newfound powers to slow its descent. The golden plunger glowed brighter than ever, channeling the energy needed to push the moon back into its orbit. The world watched in awe as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. Salman and his friends had done it again. The moon was no longer a threat, and Earth was safe. Cheers erupted from every corner of the globe. Salman looked at his friends, the golden plunger still glowing in his hand. He knew that their bond had grown even stronger through this unexpected cosmic adventure. As they returned to the Skibidi toilet dimension, Salman felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he and the Skibidi crew would always be ready to face them together. The end? Probably not. Scene 13. The rise of the blue T-Rex and the flying eye. As Salman and the Skibidi crew returned from their cosmic adventure, they found themselves immediately thrust into yet another crisis. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and from the Earth's depths emerged a colossal blue T-Rex. Its roar echoed through the skies, signaling the beginning of a new chaos. Just as they began to comprehend this new threat, a giant flying eye appeared in the sky, casting a shadow over the land. The eye was relentless, its gaze causing destruction and mayhem wherever it looked. The news was grim. The flying eye had already claimed the lives of 5 billion people. The Skibidi crew, undeterred by this new adversary, readied themselves for battle, but they were not alone. From the eerie corners of the back rooms emerged the infamous Poo Poo, and alongside it, Skibidi Bop shouted, "I love poo! Ah! Bleed!" The scene was chaotic, filled with the roars of the blue T-Rex, the ominous presence of the flying eye, and the determined cries of the Skibidi crew. Salman, holding the golden plunger, knew that this was their ultimate test. They had faced cosmic threats, but now they had to confront ancient beasts and otherworldly entities. As the battle raged on, the Skibidi crew used their unique abilities to fend off the flying eye's deadly gaze. The blue T-Rex, though powerful, was no match for the combined strength of Salman and his friends. With each strike of the golden plunger, the forces of chaos began to wane. In a final desperate move, Salman aimed the golden plunger at the flying eye, channeling all the energy they had left. The eye exploded in a burst of light, and the T-Rex, seeing its ally defeated, retreated back into the earth. The world was safe once again, but the cost had been high. The Skibidi crew stood together, battered but victorious, knowing that they had faced the unimaginable and survived. As they looked to the horizon, they knew that as long as they stood together, there was no challenge they couldn't overcome. The end? Definitely not. As the blue T-Rex retreated and the flying eye exploded, the Skibidi crew felt a momentary triumph. But in the blink of an eye, the giant flying eye returned, swallowing Salman and the Skibidi crew whole. Their heroic saga came to an abrupt end, leaving the world to wonder if they would ever be seen again. Pause 3S. Let's forget about them for now. In a bustling city, a man sits down for a meal. As he reaches for his drink, his eye catches sight of a lone fry abandoned on his seat. A pang of guilt courses through him at the thought of the fry's wasted potential. Compelled by an odd sense of duty, he consumes it. As the fry descends into the abyss of his digestive system, an unusual thought seizes him. He envisions a bustling metropolis within him, a city in his stomach where consumed food embarks on its second life. An intriguing idea, isn't it? A city thriving in the unlikeliest of places. but his friends dismiss his vision as a mere figment of an overactive imagination. Determined to prove them wrong, our protagonist makes a drastic decision. Steeling himself, he cuts open his stomach, ready to unveil the hidden city within him. Instead of skyscrapers and bustling streets, what emerges is far more bizarre. Toilets. Yes, toilets made of oil. They pour out of him, their slick surfaces gleaming under the artificial light. His scream echoes through the room, raw and guttural, shaking the very foundations of the earth. These toilets aren't just innocuous pieces of bathroom furniture. Each time a toilet claims a human life, it clones itself, doubling its numbers. The world becomes overrun by this oily menace until 1 billion toilets dominate the landscape. Humanity, desperate and on the brink of extinction, seeks refuge on the moon. They build a new home, a moon base away from the toilet infestation. But their respite is short-lived. A giant bowling ball, a symbol of destruction and chaos, appears on the moon's horizon. It rolls relentlessly, crushing everything in its path. The moon base stands no chance against this unstoppable force. With a final catastrophic impact, the bowling ball obliterates the last bastion of humanity. And so our story concludes in a tragic symphony of destruction. A man, his unusual thought, and a world overrun by toilets, leading to the ultimate end of humanity on a distant moonbase. Pause 3S. As the remnants of humanity return to Earth, they are greeted by a horrifying sight. A giant Megra bleed, a monstrous creature devouring bricks with insatiable hunger. The world, now a shadow of its former self, is in chaos. Amidst this pandemonium, a 7-year-old boy, barefoot and alone, embarks on an adventure so grandiose that it shakes the very core of the earth. The boy, with his dirty feet and unyielding spirit, becomes the subject of scorn and hatred. People despise him for his stubbornness, for loving the feel of dirt beneath his soles. Undeterred by their contempt, he ventures into a dense jungle, seeking solace in nature's wild embrace. Suddenly, a figure looms in the distance. It's Donald Pump, a notorious sniper. With a swift, precise shot, he targets the boy. But before the bullet can reach its mark, Garfield, the enigmatic cat, emerges from the shadows, revealing the boy's location with a cryptic, "Poo-dee-dee poo." As tension mounts, a grotesque creature, a Poo-dee-dee poo-poo-poo, materializes from the darkness. It lunges forward, its ravenous maw consuming 5 people in an instant. The boy, filled with a mix of fear and determination, watches in horror as the world around him spirals further into madness. In this twisted tale, the boy's journey, marked by dirty feet and relentless courage, becomes a symbol of defiance against a world gone mad. His story, intertwined with bizarre and terrifying events, serves as a haunting reminder of the unpredictable nature of existence. What lies ahead for the boy and the remnants of humanity? Only time will tell in this ever-unfolding saga of chaos and survival. As the boy with dirty feet stands bewildered amidst the chaos, a peculiar sound echoes in the distance, a jingle that seems out of place in this world of madness. Emerging from the shadows, a pink ice cream van rolls into view, its cheerful tune contrasting starkly with the grim surroundings. Suddenly, the sky darkens. A solar eclipse begins to unfold, casting an eerie shadow over the land. The boy looks up, his eyes wide with wonder and fear. As the moon fully covers the sun, an unexpected transformation takes place. The sun turns a vibrant orange, and the moon mysteriously vanishes from sight. In the midst of this celestial anomaly, the ground trembles. A massive hole opens up, and from its depths rises a bizarre structure, a styrofoam hotel. Its walls gleam under the orange sun, an uncanny addition to the already surreal landscape. But the strangeness doesn't end there. From the hotel's entrance, Oilets begin to pour out, their presence signaling a new chapter in this chaotic world. They march with purpose, taking control of the UK and US, preparing for an unprecedented battle against Russia, wielding their oil material as their weapon of choice. Pause 3S. The boy, now caught between these warring factions, realizes that his journey is far from over. As the Oilets prepare for war, he must navigate this new reality, his dirty feet a testament to his resilience and unyielding spirit. Pause 3S. In this ever-evolving saga, the appearance of the pink ice cream van and the ensuing solar eclipse mark the beginning of a new conflict, one that will shape the fate of humanity and the boy's destiny. What new challenges await him in this unpredictable world? Only time will reveal the answers. Pause 3S. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this epic tale of survival, courage, and the relentless march of chaos. As the boy with dirty feet stands amidst the chaos, the ground beneath him feels different, sharper. He looks down and sees a glint of glass, too late to avoid stepping on it. A sharp pain shoots through his foot. He winces, but the real danger is yet to come. The shard has introduced a new threat, OilyPoo, a virus that has a 30% chance of killing you and a 70% chance of causing minor injuries. The boy watches in horror as his wound starts to ooze a dark, oily substance. Suddenly, his surroundings erupt in chaos. His poo explodes into 74 pieces, spreading the virus rapidly. Over 1 billion people become infected almost instantly, and the world plunges into lockdown. Just when it seems like things couldn't get worse, it came. An entity with giant teeth, a cavernous mouth, and black skin emerges from the shadows. It moves swiftly, mercilessly, killing everyone who is infected. The boy watches helpless as the entity eliminates the virus by ending the lives of the infected. The world stands still, caught between relief and terror. The virus is gone, but at a great cost. The boy, still standing, looks down at his dirty feet, now marked by the shard and the virus. His journey is far from over, and the world he knew is forever changed. What new challenges await him in this unpredictable world? Only time will reveal the answers. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this epic tale of survival, courage, and the relentless march of chaos. As the world grapples with the aftermath of the OilyPoo outbreak, the barefoot boy stumbles upon a makeshift bandage and hastily wraps it around his wounded foot. The pain subsides, but a new sense of dread takes its place. The entity with giant teeth and cavernous mouth watches silently, its black skin blending into the shadows. But then, a flicker of recognition crosses the entity's face. It remembers something crucial. Deep within the recesses of its mind, it recalls Salman and the Skibidi crew. Statues were erected in their honor, symbols of their bravery and heroism. Suddenly the ground trembles. The statues begin to glow, cracks forming across their stone surfaces. From the grave, Salman emerges, his eyes burning with determination. As if summoned by his presence, a blue T-Rex and a giant flying eye tear through the sky, their roars echoing across the land. Chaos erupts as the blue T-Rex and the giant flying eye set their sights on Russia, laying waste to the land with unmatched ferocity. Buildings crumble and the earth shatters beneath their might. But the destruction doesn't end there. In the heavens, Mars hurtles towards the moon, colliding in a cataclysmic explosion that sends shockwaves through the cosmos. Salman stands amidst the devastation, his heart heavy with the weight of the unfolding chaos. Despite his strength and resolve, he is powerless to stop the destruction. The world he once knew spirals further into turmoil, and he can only watch as the fabric of reality unravels. The boy with the dirty feet, now marked by both the shard and the virus, looks up at Salman. Their eyes meet, and in that moment a silent understanding passes between them. The journey is far from over, and the challenges that lie ahead are beyond comprehension. Stay tuned for the next chapter in this epic tale of survival, courage, and the relentless march of chaos. As Salman and the Skibidi crew struggle to comprehend the chaos unfolding before them, the ground beneath their feet starts to tremble once more. A foul stench fills the air, and from the shadows, a grotesque figure emerges. A Poo Demon, its eyes glowing with malevolent glee. The demon roars, sending waves of dread through the hearts of our heroes. Ibid op ep poo turtle ped nail oilet moilet, it bellows, its voice echoing across the desolate landscape. Without warning, the Poo Demon unleashes a torrent of filth, darkening the skies and coating the earth in a vile sludge. A Poo Demon comes out of my nowhere and poos, Salman mutters, his voice tinged with both disgust and determination. Suddenly the demon's eyes lock onto Salman. Then my poo skibs on you and my power oilety weirdo widow my ski! It screams, its voice a cacophony of madness. The demon lunges forward, but Salman stands his ground, his resolve unwavering. I love you! The demon howls, its laughter filling the air. But before it can strike, a bright light pierces the darkness. The golden plunger, legendary artifact of power, glows in Salman's hand. With a mighty swing, Salman strikes the demon, sending it reeling back into the abyss from whence it came. The stench begins to dissipate, and the skies clear. The world, though still in chaos, finds a moment of respite. Salman and the Skibidi crew stand tall, ready to face whatever comes next. Stay tuned as the saga continues, and our heroes confront even greater threats in their quest to restore balance to the world. As the echoes of the Poo Demon's defeat fade away, Salman and the Skibidi crew find themselves engulfed in an uneasy silence. Just when they think the worst is over, the ground beneath them starts to quake once more. A deep, guttural chant fills the air. Ooh, in the bleeding tummy hole, poo in the bleeding tummy hole, poo in the bleeding tummy hole. The earth splits open, revealing a dark abyss. From its depths rises a monstrous entity, even more grotesque than the Poo Demon. Its form is twisted, its eyes burning with a sinister glow. The crew can feel the malevolent energy pulsating from this new foe. Then my oil poos and I love poo and I hate tanks, I will poo on Jacob Frost and I just egg ye. The entity roars, its voice a chaotic blend of rage and madness. Salman tightens his grip on the golden plunger, ready for another battle, but before he can react, the entity's gaze shifts towards the horizon. Jacob Frost lives in the UK, it bellows, its voice echoing across the desolate land. The crew is momentarily stunned by the revelation. Jacob Frost, their ally, is in grave danger. The entity lunges forward, its intent clear, but Salman, with unwavering determination, stands his ground. Not on my watch, he mutters, his voice filled with resolve. With a swift motion, Salman swings the golden plunger, the legendary artifact glowing with fierce light. The entity howls in pain as the plunger connects, sending it reeling back into the abyss. The ground stabilizes and the eerie silence returns. The Skibidi crew gathers around Salman, their spirits lifted by his bravery. Stay strong, everyone, Salman says, his voice echoing with determination. Our journey is far from over. As they prepare for the next challenge, the crew knows that the road ahead is fraught with danger. But with Salman leading the way, they are ready to face whatever comes next. Stay tuned as the saga continues, and our heroes confront even greater threats in their quest to restore balance to the world. As the Skibidi crew regains their composure from the harrowing encounter with the bleeding tummy hole entity, the atmosphere shifts once more. An ominous fog rolls in, thick and green, enveloping everything in sight. The air grows heavy, filled with an unsettling, almost musical hum. Suddenly, the vision of a man walking appears before them. His steps echo in the silence, each one heavier than the last. Out of nowhere, an oilet emerges, its maw gaping wide. In a surreal twist, it begins to suck the man in, his body contorting and stretching until he explodes in a burst of light, just like Salman in a distant dream. Verse 2. As the scene dissolves, the dreamscape shifts to a dimly lit room. The dream man is there, his body trembling as he lets out an uncontrollable series of farts. The room fills with green gas, swirling around him like a toxic mist. The surreal hum intensifies, transforming into a chaotic chorus. Usk ah 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 poo dee dee ah ha 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 ha. Chorus. Oh no, my oilet is going to explode in your hole, what will you do? You can't do anything, ha 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 ha. The voice taunts, echoing through the dreamscape. OMB bro is about to get oiled by the oiliest oiler on Mars. Verse 3, Salman appears again, his face turning a deep shade of red. He begins to swell, his form distorting until he too explodes in this lucid nightmare. Shied of poo, oh oh, the chorus continues, a haunting melody that reverberates through the minds of the Skibidi crew. Verse 4, my poo exploded into 74 pieces, do you feel the wind and pressure? The voice asks, its tone both mocking and menacing. Mead of moo, oh oh. Chorus. Oh no, my oilet is going to explode in your hole, what will you do? You can't do anything, ha 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 ha. The chorus repeats, louder and more insistent. OMB bro is about to get oiled by the oiliest oiler on Mars. As the nightmare reaches its crescendo, the Skibidi crew is jolted back to reality. The fog lifts, and the eerie silence returns. They exchange uneasy glances, knowing that this was more than just a dream. It was a warning. Stay vigilant, Salman says, his voice tinged with urgency. Our challenges are far from over. With renewed determination, the Skibidi crew prepares for the next leg of their journey. The road ahead is uncertain, but they are ready to face whatever nightmares come their way. Stay tuned as the saga continues, and our heroes confront even greater threats in their quest to restore balance to the world. Jacob Frost recalls his camping trip, a serene adventure in the heart of the forest. He found a perfect patch of dirt to set up his tent. With practiced ease, he pitched his tent, ready for a night under the stars. As he finished, his friend approached and asked, "Did you go barefoot at any time?" Jacob nodded, admitting, "Yes, my feet got muddy too." His friend's face twisted in anger, the calm of the forest shattered. In a sudden burst of rage, his friend punched him. Jacob was thrown out the window of the cabin they had rented. He landed hard on the ground, the impact jarring him back to reality. Stunned, he looked up at the cabin, the peaceful camping trip now a distant memory. The forest, once a place of tranquility, now felt eerie and unwelcoming. Jacob picked himself up and walked away, the weight of the night's events heavy on his shoulders. The path ahead was uncertain, but he knew he had to keep moving. In the aftermath of Jacob Frost's muddy memories, the world took a dark turn. The barefoot boy, once a symbol of innocence, met a tragic end as a meteor struck him down. Chaos ensued. The Skibidi crew and Salman, beloved by many, were devoured by a ferocious dinosaur with a taste for flesh. Hope dwindled as the population plummeted to a mere 1,000,000 souls. But even hope's last flicker can be snuffed out. The entity that wreaked havoc met its demise, leaving only 4 survivors. One by one they succumbed to the harsh realities of this new world, until only one remained. This lone survivor, a beacon of resilience, embarked on an unimaginable task. With unwavering determination, he built 100 million statues, each a tribute to the lost souls. Day after day, he toiled, sculpting the faces of those who once walked the earth. Yet, conspicuously absent were statues of the Skibidi crew and Salman. Their memory, it seemed, was too painful to immortalize. As he worked, he held on to a peculiar memory. My friend lives in the UUUK and not in the UUUS. It was a fragment of a happier time, a connection to a world now lost. He remembered his friend's odd habits, licking red snails, blue turtles, and his own mantra, "I love 3,000 limit, I also poobided." Finally, the statues stood silent, a testament to perseverance. They didn't work until they did. The world began to heal, slowly but surely. And though the Skibidi crew and Salman were absent from the monument, their spirit lived on in the heart of the last survivor. The path ahead was uncertain, but as long as he kept moving, there was hope. In the quiet aftermath, he whispered to the statues, "We will remember, we will rebuild." In the aftermath of the last survivor's monument, tranquility was shattered on an ordinary evening on the 9th of March, 2024. Out of nowhere, a poo exploded. Not just any explosion, but a detonation so powerful it split the poo into 74 distinct pieces. Imagine the shocking sight as these fragments transformed not into something grotesque or repulsive, but into oilets. Toilets made entirely of shimmering, slippery oil. As if the spectacle wasn't strange enough, a head emerged from the oily depths of these newly formed toilets. In a voice as smooth as the oil itself, it began to sing the lyrics, "Skiddy doo 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 yes yes," echoing through the air, filling the silence with a melody both haunting and enchanting. In the midst of this bizarre scene, a seemingly insignificant event occurred. A crumb fell, landing on a seat with a sound barely louder than a whisper, yet it set off a reaction so grandiose, it shook the very foundation of the earth. A scream, raw and piercing, reverberated throughout the atmosphere, causing the ground to tremble under its intensity. As the earth quaked, an unsuspecting passerby, caught off guard, ended up peeing in someone's ear. The result was explosive and unforeseen. The ear, unable to contain the sudden influx of fluid, burst, releasing a torrent of pee that drenched the entire earth. The force of this unusual event was so great, it caused the earth itself to talk, saying "Poo-diddy poo," sending fragments of land and debris flying in all directions. In the aftermath of this global catastrophe, the survivors, humans and oilets alike, found refuge on the moon. However, the tranquility of their lunar sanctuary was short-lived. The United States, in a move as audacious as it was innovative, decided to clone oilets. These cloned oilets were then distributed across the world, a gift of sorts to the survivors. The recipients of these cloned oilets discovered an unexpected benefit. The oil, once a symbol of industrial power and environmental destruction, now served a new purpose. It became a source of nourishment, a delicacy they could suck and gulp, savoring the unique, delicious taste of oil. And so, in this new era of survival and adaptation, the oilets became both a reminder of the past and a beacon of hope for the future. The world, forever changed, began to rebuild once more. In the strange aftermath of the global catastrophe, the world witnessed an unprecedented miracle. On the 10th of March, 2024, 5 billion people who had perished in the chaos came back to life. Yet curiously, Salman and the Skibidi crew remained forgotten, their memories fading into the abyss of time. But as the world began to heal, another bizarre event took place. One morning as the sun rose, a strange figure known as Ray JDU appeared. His presence was as unsettling as his actions. He pooped on an ivy plant, causing an unexpected reaction. The ivy began to grow rapidly, spreading across the land, its tendrils shimmering with an oily sheen. As if the world hadn't seen enough, RuJW declared his peculiar habits. "I eat red snails, yes I do, and I savor wet poo every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. His words echoed through the air, leaving the survivors bewildered and uneasy. In the midst of this chaos, 3 black dogs invaded a house. The homeowner, driven by fear and desperation, shot the dogs. But instead of blood, the dogs released a torrent of poo. This poo was unlike any other. It was bold, wreaking havoc on everything it touched. Furniture, keepsakes, and even the very walls of the house were covered in this chaotic substance. As the world continued to grapple with these bizarre occurrences, the survivors could only wonder what strange events would unfold next. The end of Salman and the Skibidi crew was forgotten, but the world they left behind was far from ordinary. And so the story continued, filled with unexpected twists and turns as the survivors navigated this new, unpredictable reality. In the aftermath of the bizarre resurrection and the unsettling presence of RuJW, the world was on edge, teetering on the brink of chaos. But then, an even stranger event unfolded. One fateful morning, as the survivors went about their uneasy routines, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Plop, a mysterious entity known to few but feared by many. Plop's presence was a harbinger of doom. He stood in the center of a bustling town square and declared in a booming voice, "I have returned to warn you all. A portal to the Skibidi toilet dimension has opened, and Earth is on the verge of destruction. You must flee now, or face certain annihilation." Panic spread like wildfire. People scrambled to find the portal, desperate to escape the impending catastrophe. The portal shimmered with an otherworldly glow, its edges crackling with energy. One by one, the survivors leaped into the portal, disappearing into the unknown dimension. But in the chaos, one person was left behind. A young woman named Lily, who had been searching for her lost dog, missed the portal by mere seconds. She watched in horror as the portal closed, sealing her fate. With a deafening roar, the earth began to tremble. The sky darkened, and an ominous silence fell over the land. Then, in an instant, the world exploded in a cataclysmic burst of light and sound. The survivors who had escaped through the portal found themselves in the Skibidi toilet dimension, a realm of endless toilets and bizarre landscapes. They looked back at the portal, now closed, and mourned the loss of their world. As they began to explore their strange new home, they couldn't help but wonder what other surprises awaited them in this unpredictable dimension. The story of Salman and the Skibidi crew may have been forgotten, but their legacy lived on in the hearts of those who survived. In the strange new realm of the Skibidi toilet dimension, the survivors grappled with their surreal surroundings. Among them was the 7-year-old barefoot boy from long ago, wandering aimlessly through the maze of toilets and bizarre landscapes. His eyes, wide with bewilderment, landed on a peculiar sight, a toilet made entirely of coils offering him a pair of shoes. The coil toilet spoke in a low, mechanical voice, "Take these shoes, child, they will protect you." But the boy, distrustful and defiant, refused the offer. With a swift punch, he struck the toilet, shattering its coiled facade. In an instant, the atmosphere shifted. The once silent toilets around him sprang to life, their lids snapping open and shut like hungry jaws. The boy's defiance had awakened something dark and insatiable. One by one, the toilets began to converge on him, their porcelain mouths opening wide. He fought, but it was in vain. The toilets consumed him, their cold, unyielding surfaces pressing in from all sides. And then, as if by some cruel twist of fate, the boy was thrust into the void of deep space. As he floated, the icy tendrils of space wrapped around him. He glimpsed the forgotten souls of legends, Salman, the Skibidi crew, and others lost to time. They reached out to him, their spectral forms shimmering in the starlight. But before he could react, the cold claimed him. His body froze, a silent testament to defiance and fate. The boy, now a frozen relic, drifted among the stars, a forgotten echo in the endless expanse of space. In the Skibidi toilet dimension, the survivors continued their journey, unaware of the boy's fate. The legend of Salman and the Skibidi crew lived on, but the boy's story became another whispered tale in the vast, unpredictable universe. Sound fades out. Remember the entity? The one that saved humans from the OilyPoo virus. He had vanished into legend, but now he has returned. With a wave of his ethereal hand, he began to rebuild Earth, piece by piece, restoring it to its former glory. The once broken cities now stood tall, and nature flourished like never before. Humans, who had been living in fear and uncertainty, returned to their ordinary lives. The streets buzzed with life, Laughter echoed in the air, and hope was rekindled. The entity, a silent guardian, watched over them, ensuring their safety. But his mission was far from over. In the cold void of space, the frozen 7-year-old boy drifted, a relic of defiance and fate. The entity reached out, his power transcending the boundaries of time and space. He gently cradled the boy, thawing the icy prison that held him. The boy's eyes fluttered open and he found himself back on Earth, surrounded by warmth and light. Salman and the Skibidi crew too were saved. The entity gathered their scattered souls, breathing new life into their spectral forms. They awoke, bewildered but alive, ready to continue their adventures. Life had become ordinary once again, but for those who remembered the chaos, it was a miracle. Newborns entered a world of peace and prosperity, unaware of the darkness that had once loomed over humanity. They were the lucky ones, born into a world rebuilt by the entity's grace. And so, the legend of the entity, the boy, Salman, and the Skibidi crew lived on, a testament to resilience and hope. The entity, the silent savior, continued to watch over them, ensuring that the world remained a place of light and life. Music fades out,